Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Just in the court of
So,
Twitter.
mostly in court of Twitter. So we'll get started here in five, four, three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new and exciting episode of our take on Days of Our Lives. We're going to do that again because guess what? I hit start streaming, but not start recording because that's how this goes. So if you're listening live, you just got a fun little blooper because that's the way my life works. Is I click one button but not the other one. You know, the important one that matters. I could have maybe taken it from the stream, but that's an extra step I'm just not willing to make today, people.
At least you realized it 30 seconds in and not 2 hours in.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I immediately, that's what I always do. I have like a routine of things I check and making sure the little record button is like going up is number one. And it wasn't, and that scared me. So we'll just go again in five, four, three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a second take at episode 3 of our take on Days of Our Lives. My name is Jonathan, and I am joined by Jenna and Tony Ann. Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Guys, it is so nice to be sitting here and talking about one of the best shows on television right now. That is The Days of Our Lives. Are you guys excited?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
talking about days makes me so happy.
Yes.
Tony Ann, real quick, for those who may not know who you are, and I'd be surprised, who, let's talk real quickly. What's your day's history? Like, who's some of your favorite characters? How long you been watching Well 9 Yards?
Okay, so I've basically been watching days for as long as I've been alive, but I've only retained memories from 1999 to now. So I've basically been watching for 20 years. But when I was little, my mom used to have like tapes and tapes saved up, and she'd watch on the weekends, and I'd sit and play on the floor. And I used to get Bo and John confused because they both had really long hair. But some of my favorite characters are Belle and Sean. They were the first couple that I ever shipped before shipping was an actual thing.
Yes. Message boards. Share.
Yes. Jack
Yes.
and Jennifer are another one of my favorites. I am obsessed with
Sorry.
them, as my timeline will show, and I'm ignoring you, Jonathan, and also Ben and Sierra.
Okay. Okay. Well, good choices. So, except for one of them. But
Stop it.
it's okay.
Stop it!
We
You
can't
will
all
not.
have good taste.
You will
So
not besmirch my Jack and Jennifer. I will not allow it.
let's just dive right into some news because if you haven't had an opportunity yet, we did a breaking news edition of our take on days, and I got Corian and Ashley on because we had to discuss two pieces of news that we're going to go over here and get your guys' discussion on. And that's that Days of Our Lives was renewed, and we're getting a
Yay.
Last Blast spin-off. So
Yes!
let's talk about that one first since you guys seem super excited about it. What was your reaction? What are you most excited for this Last Blast crew coming back?
I'm excited for all of it. First of all, Last Blast Crew was my jam. I grew up with them. I
Yep.
have rewatched the Last Blast dances so many times. Like, I think I crashed the hard drive on my computer just from constantly downloading all of the clips from the dances. I know all of these characters that we're seeing: Susan, Kevin, Jan, Jason, Sean, Belle, Chloe, possibly Philip. I know all of
It's
them.
Philip.
I'm so excited.
It's
It's
Philip.
not possibly. It's Philip.
I know.
I'm
It's
just
Okay,
saying it.
well, I'm just
If
We
because
know.
I'm not. I'm tired of this. Like, who's it gonna be? There's gonna be a secret character showing up. Like, no,
Who do you think
guys.
it's
Let's.
gonna be?
It's
Like,
Philip. He was on set.
and
He was taping. He's
it's
filming.
the real
It's there.
Philip,
It's
the only
J. Kenneth
Philip I
Johnson.
ever acknowledge. J. Kenneth Johnson, welcome home.
oh yes. Bless.
And I just love that we're getting to see Susan and Kevin, and we get to see what's up with them, because I did love Kevin and Mimi. Kevin and Mimi were adorable. And I loved Susan too. And Jan and Jay. Well, I
The
could do
fact that they
without Jan.
got like OG Jan back, I was like,
Wait,
oh
is
my
it Heather
God,
Lindell or
seriously?
Heather Lauren Olson? Which
Heather
Jan
Lindell.
is it?
It's Heather Lindell.
So it's the second Jan.
Well, yeah, she's the only Jan that I.
The only one that matters.
No, it's
Yes.
like with Abby. Like I said on the first one, he's like, the one before Kate. I'm like, there was no one before Kate, so just carry on with that. No, because I mean, the last time we saw Jan, she was in a coma.
So apparently she woke up.
So she woke up, but when did she wake up, and what has she been doing with her life? And what's going on with her? Because she was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs the last
More
time
than
we
a
saw
little,
her.
and I'm wondering, did she and Jason get back together?
Right. So I'm curious. I'm really curious as to the Jan aspect of it all. That's really what I'm like. Really? So what has Jan been up to? And what is she going to be up to?
That the premise of it is that Kevin is opening a .com.
Yes. And like people were like, well, is it going to go with the time jump? I'm like, how could it not? Because basically their 20-year high school reunion would be in 2020.
No, their 20
no, it wouldn't.
It would be in 2022.
2022, but
because they graduated in May of 2002.
Yeah, they graduated the year I did. Let's not talk about how old I am. Thanks. Anyway. So it's like, well, yeah, it's going to be with the time jump. It wouldn't make sense if they did a, because all these web series are supposed to like correlate
but
with
it would be 2022.
the show.
Because if the time jump right now it's 2020, it's starting this week, so they're playing 20 for the 20 year, which would be when this time it's 7-8 episodes, so that would be in 2020, probably wrapping up in like January of 2020, which would be 2021.
So it'd be 19 years, but whatever. I mean,
2022, right? Right? Because 2021, I don't know. Days, years, math doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter. But I'm just excited to see everybody and all together and at .com, and it's just gonna be great because
my Philip.
Yes, and .com was like my favorite set, which they then later turned into the Java Cafe. But
which is now something else.
Which I've always loved .com. So the fact that they're bringing that back, I mean, yeah, it looks like Julie's Place, but we'll forgive that.
Hey, paint and a couple tables can do wonders.
It's gonna be interesting to see recast Mimi.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna ask. What is your thoughts on a recast Mimi?
Did you see that picture?
Wasn't able to appear. She looks really close.
She looks really close.
I would have laughed if they got that red-haired Mimi that
had
that had the role before Farrah took over.
Yes. Oh God. She looked like Sammy's friend from like the mid-90s, the one that ended up marrying. Yeah, the one that ended up marrying Robert Kelker Kelly. Yeah, she kind of looked like her, and I was like, that can't be the same person. I was like, maybe it's like her cousin or like her daughter or something.
But this meme, I forget her name, who they got as the recast, looks really close to Farrah. So I'll be interested to see.
Now, here's just a random fan theory, but Candace, during our live episode last week for Breaking News, discussed the possibility that Philip could possibly be David's father. Would you guys like to see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that. If it brings Philip back to the main show and gets Kate interacting with characters that matter, absolutely.
Here's the thing. These web series, the point of them is to move these characters back to the main show.
Yeah, because everybody from Chabby and Paris, except for Juliet, is coming to the main show. Because Chad and Abby are already here, and then we've got Shin Jr. coming in a couple months.
Mm-hmm. Bless.
So, I'm just saying, I would expect that you're going to see at least probably about 4 of these people.
Oh, we know we know Brandon's already been back to the set filming at least twice. We're going to see him, I think Brandon said, in February, and then he was just filming again recently.
Yeah. And I mean, Martha, you could expect her to make a few cameos, if not come back full time, if everything's going all right with her personal, life while she left. So I could see her coming back, and then
Nadia's always down for a good time.
Nadia's always down to come back. So it really just makes me wonder if Jay wants to come back. That's the big thing. They would more than likely have room for him if he wants to come back, and that's just the thing. Does he want to?
Well,
because they mentioned Philip a lot over the last few months before the jump.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk renewal.
Yes.
So exciting.
So excited.
We have another year of our show.
Yes, we do. And I have a conspiracy theory that the crazy TV Line article that dropped last week was done on purpose because 10 days later we got a renewal.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to try a scare tactic, that'll work.
It's interesting because the cast found out back in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So they knew in July that the long hiatus was going to happen and that they were going to go off contract. So that leads credence to, Jenna, your theory that, they've already got a framework
Yeah, they've had to.
already established for what they're negotiating for. So here's the thing, though, and this is my sticking point, and something I think that's important to know. This hiatus was never about catching Closer back up, and I've said that from the start. I said no way they're doing
Saving
it
money.
because they want to go back into production now in January.
That's what I heard too.
That's what I heard.
It.
And here's my question. Are the actors, because technically the actors are under contract until the last day they're on set, which is Wednesday. Since the renewal is locked, do they still release them?
They've already, yes. They are already have that release done so that they could do other work. So they are not under contract from that point forward. So they do have to renegotiate for all of those. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So, last question on that. Who is your one person? You only get to keep one. Who's the one person you're keeping?
Oh, Jesus.
Why do we only get to keep one, Jonathan?
Because I'm not even letting you keep a couple.
You're mean.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Like, this is the meanest question.
I already got mine.
Then you go first.
All right, I'll go first. Camila Banus.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
You can write that entire show around Gabby Hernandez.
Gabriela De Mera. Thank you.
Gabriela De Mera Hernandez.
Hernandez De Mera. You know what, Jonathan?
Whatever.
I'm going to say it.
I'm just buying time.
Okay. Honestly, I think I would bring back Sierra because that's another next generation. You can again write the show around and move the show into the future.
If I can only bring back one person, if you guys are okay, so if you both are saying the younger set, I'm gonna say like the one person from like the older set that I would bring back would be Deidre.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there has to be like a counterbalance.
Yep. I'm okay with that. So that's our show. It's gonna be Marlena, Sierra, and Gabby. There you go.
God knows Gabby needs a therapist, so
I will say, like, all the actors seem very happy. Like, they all seem like they're planning on coming back. Nobody's planning on leaving.
Right.
No, I think it's all just going to depend on money and guarantees and time. And it'll be interesting to see who comes back, who doesn't. I think you're going to see most of the cast, though, return.
Oh, yeah.
I don't...
There's some crazy stuff coming up. And
yeah.
Oof.
I'm excited.
So, let's talk about some of that craziness.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay.
Where are we starting?
We're going to start with Marlena's not having any of Gina's shit.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's so good.
It's so
good.
So, Tony Ann, are you enjoying this incarnation of Gina?
Yes. She is doing a way better job of pretending to be Hope than she ever did before. So I can almost understand why nobody has figured it out within the year that she's not herself, because any inconsistencies in her behavior could have been attributed to Jennifer's coma. So she's doing a way better job, and it just looks like Christian is having like the best time in the world. I'm ready for Stefano to have a voice and a face.
Me too.
And,
yep.
Me too. Just for Twitter.
And I will say I don't particularly like that Gina is controlling Stefano. Once we get Stefano's voice and face, Stefano needs to be pulling her strings, because Stefano has never, nor would he ever, let anybody else pull his strings ever.
Yep.
That's the only thing that's taken me out of this story, but I love everything else about it. And Marlena being like, what is happening right now is possibly my favorite thing. Although I do kind of need her to realize, like, hey, Hope would not be like blatantly trying to seduce my husband. Maybe this is Princess Gina.
When she called Hope selfish and was going off about how she just needs to go and live with Doug and Julie and stay out of her house, I was like, okay, I love
Yep.
you. I love Marlena.
And my favorite thing about that too was like John and Marlena had that conversation, and John made it clear, like, even if Hope was trying to do that, my only loyalty is to you.
Yes.
I've only got eyes for you, baby.
Oh, I love them.
So much.
But
So
John's so
much.
dumb. John is so dumb.
God, he got hit with the stupid stick. And he had his brain for a minute, but apparently it's time for another man in Salem to
That's
have custody of.
always how it goes, though. Like,
I
they'll
swear to
get a
God, there's
brain, and then it's like nothing.
there,
You're like,
only
why?
one man in Salem is allowed to have custody of the brain at a time, and apparently John has lost his turn.
So I'm just trying to think who has it right now, because really, Xander, maybe? I don't know. Like, I'm just like, who has the man brain in Salem?
Eli, maybe?
No, he's getting used by
Eh,
Gabby.
Yeah, but he's also realizing that Chad and Abby are up to something. So
True.
We'll just have to see. What is your guys' thoughts on Sunny and Evan?
they're sparkly. I like them.
Yes, they are definitely an upgrade. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
they are because, like, you could see,
Neither
like,
actor hates each other and they're not bored.
exactly, like, they're engaged, and it's just nice. Sunny has better chemistry with Evan and with Chad than he ever has with Will.
He has such great chemistry with Chad. They need to kiss one of these days, I swear. Just once. Like, fantasy episode. Like,
Even if
that's
it's
all I
just a
need.
dream, something.
Right? I love them.
My favorite Sunny Chad scene, just going back for 1 second, will always be before the double wedding, when they made the guy who was fixing their tuxedos think that they were together,
Yes.
and Chad kissed him and called him Sunny Bunny. I died laughing every time.
Ugh.
I love their dynamic as friends, and I
Mhm.
love that, we actually kind of get to see Sunny's point of view on all of this. But Sunny and Evan are just, I love them so much.
They are so sparkly. They really are. Well, because I mean, it's like the cute little, like, flirty, almost interactions between them. Like how Evan's like, "Hey, if you want, like, you can meet me down there and whatever." And like Sunny gets like this weird look on his face, like he's smiling, but at the same time he's like, "Oh, well, I was just gonna," because he's like he's not comfortable with it yet, like moving on or whatever. And just like that interaction that they had, and he was like, "Yeah, I was done, and I just wanted to see if you still wanted to go get something to eat or whatever." And that was just like the cutest little flirty, like, unsure of themselves, like, interaction, and I was just like, I love you.
But
Okay, dang it.
Sunny hasn't dated like in
A while.
forever. And
No,
when he was
Mm-mm.
dating Will, it was very much
he was the
they
aggressor
were
in that
two
relationship.
different, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then the whole thing with Paul was a past thing coming back, right? So it wasn't like he was meeting somebody new or going out. Like he
The
tried the
last
whole
time
internet thing,
Right,
and it
that was
just
the
didn't
last time he dated was with
work.
Leo.
And this wasn't, and that's different. The interactions and the way your relationship starts in an internet relationship versus somebody like you starting a relationship with somebody in person, like yes, both of them can have the same end goal, but like those initial interactions are just way different. And
And I
I
liked
like
the
those.
conversation that, like, he had with Chad, when he was kind of telling Chad about it, and Chad's like, is he gay? And he's like, I don't know. I think so. Like, they're still, like, so, like, uncertain. He's, like, still so uncertain of, like, where he stands with Evan, like, in himself. You know what I mean? Like, is, like, I thought it was kind of obvious that Evan was flirting with him and trying to, like,
One,
Yeah,
you know,
and I
get
like
there.
that Sunny is the one being pursued and not the one
Yes.
pursuing, because we've never really seen that dynamic.
Mm-mm.
Because
He was
Or-
after Will, like, like, not after, but you know what I mean. Like, he was like you guys said, the aggressor in that relationship, because he, like, he knew he was gay. He knew what he wanted. Like, he was trying to get Will to, like, see that, like, this is what he wanted
There's
to,
so
you
many.
know?
Be happier on this side of the rainbow.
There you go.
Yeah.
And this, like, with Paul, like, like you guys said, there was that love coming back. And yeah, Paul was, like, trying to get with Sonny, so, I mean, Sonny wasn't really, like, the aggressor in that relationship, until, he decided that, like, hey, this is what I want to after Will died and all that stuff. But it's nice, like, it's because this is you're seeing a different side of Sonny, which is something that I appreciate, because most of the time I
Yeah.
find Sonny very boring.
I
Like,
just need to know, is Sonny working? Does
no
Sonny have a
idea.
job? Like, because he's just walking around town in suits for no reason.
I don't know. I don't think I've heard him say anything about Titan. He was talking about, like, going out with his dad and stuff like that, but I don't remember him ever saying anything about work.
And I also kind of want to know what he thinks about Justin and Kayla. Like, he kind of seemed like he was okay with it, but kind of seemed like he didn't.
Yeah.
And I really kind of want him to not be okay with the fact that his dad moved on so fast.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's moving on himself. And I know it's different, but at the same time, it's not.
It would be different, like, but he's only just starting to move on now 6 months later. At this point, Justin and Kayla have been in a relationship for 3 months.
Yeah.
So timing wise, it's different. And I think it'd be an interesting beat if he had an issue with it.
We may get a flashback to that, because that's what flashbacks of our lives is becoming. But speaking of filling in some side story, Kate is over here sticking her nose in Will's business and
Like
trying to
always.
get him to reconsider his decision to keep pushing Sonny away. And I just need us to finally explain what happened to Adrian. I know it's coming. I know
It's coming.
it's
Yeah.
thing, but still.
Yeah. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
My theory is, because everything is tracking back 6 months. The birth of the babies, Haley's death, and Adrian's accident were all 6 months ago. What if all of those things converged on one terrible night of awfulness?
Possibility.
Yeah, because that's what they're making it sound like.
Because I'm
honest.
wondering if the accident that killed Adrian, maybe Brady and Kristen and and Sarah and Xander were also involved, or Sarah at least, and that's what caused them to go into labor. I don't know, because everything tracking back 6 months, like, it seems too coincidental for it to not all be connected somehow.
I don't know. That's an interesting. I like the thought. So
Yeah,
we'll
it
just
makes
have
you
to
wonder,
see.
like, if there was, like, a blackout or, like, some
Catastrophic
disaster.
event.
Yeah.
Because conversations that happened this week also make me think there's a twist in this Will story, and that he didn't actually kill Adrian, or if he did, there's another reason why he did.
We'll have to stay tuned to see. But should Will have, if he didn't, like, on purpose kill Adrian, which I don't think anybody believes he did, should he be pushing Sonny away like he is?
Yes, I completely understand why he pushed
I get
Sonny
it.
away. I
Yeah.
totally get it. Because at this point, he believes he killed Adrian. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know if he's covering for what actually happened or if he honestly believes that he did this. But let's go with the assumption that he honestly believes that he did this, which is why he took culpability. Every time he looks at Sonny, he can see the pain in Sonny's eyes, because not only did Sonny lose his mother, his husband is the one who took her away. So he can see Sonny trying to push past the pain, and it's too hard. And it's just easier for him to let Sonny go because he sees how much it's hurting him.
Yeah, and I mean, even if, like, let's say he's covering for somebody, you can kind of see why he would push him away too, because Will thinks he's doing what's best for Sonny, because obviously whatever or whoever he's covering for would hurt Sonny more than thinking that Will did it.
But see,
So
again, the
I'm trying to
Xander the Xander Victor conversation made me think that Will isn't actually covering for anybody, and that Will is the innocent person they sent to jail.
See, I mean, I think maybe. I mean, maybe they might have talked him into it, or I could see that. To be honest, like whatever happening, if someone did accidentally kill Adrian and Will somehow stumbled upon it or found out, like, but who would that be? I mean, who would Will care enough about to admit to doing something he didn't do and being taken away from his husband and his daughter?
It's interesting, but I don't know that Will is covering, or if Will was just made to believe that he's the one who did it and he honestly believes he did. But like I said, the Xander Victor conversation, when they were talking about putting an innocent man in jail, when Xander was texting back and forth with Clyde, that was all too vague to be about Ben and Jordan.
Yeah.
And the only other man in prison that we know about right now is Will. So whatever Xander confessed to was not about Ben and Jordan.
Right.
And I'm thinking it's about Will.
Dun, dun, dun.
Pretty much.
Because they were way too, like, it was deliberately vague. Like, even the way Clyde was texting Xander was deliberately vague to leave room for Xander to think it's one thing when it's something else. And ever since the jump, when the show is being deliberately vague like this, it's to lead us into a completely different direction.
Yep.
So that's just the way my mind works.
I just need to find out what Kate's been doing this year. I don't care about Will. You can stay in jail. Whatever. I need Kate. I need Kate and Roman.
Yeah, yes. I'm hoping we get that. Please. Because I loved Kate and Roman the first.
I love them together.
I loved them together the first time around, and the only thing that stood in their way back then was Sammy. And now that Sammy and Kate have mended fences, there's literally nothing standing in their way.
It would be so nice.
So nice.
So nice.
So, what are you guys thinking about Clyde ordering his friend Ray to kidnap Mackenzie as leverage to get him and Ben out of prison?
I have feelings on this kidnapping story.
Yes. Not necessarily about Clyde, but I have feelings.
All right. I'm just going to segue off of Clyde for a second and touch on Sierra, because I have been on a roller coaster of emotions with this all week long. I completely understand Sierra's motivations for not saying anything because this is Ben's last appeal. However, at the same time, I want her to talk to somebody who isn't a cop. And if she's not going to talk to anybody else, but she didn't, obviously, I want to at least see how conflicted she is. Because with Ben, when he was watching Clyde text Xander, you could see how tortured he was the entire time. He hated it. He was visibly uncomfortable. You could see it. And I was missing that from Sierra. And that's what was bothering me this week.
Yeah. I mean, like, because when she found out that, Mickey had been kidnapped, and, it was because of Clyde and whatever. And then she goes to Sarah and hugs her and is like, I'm so sorry, and does it. And I'm just like, really?
But see, that scene didn't bother me because she wasn't 100% sure that the baby was gone until Gina and Rafe confirmed it.
Because, that bothered me. I was just like, I mean, I love Sierra. Like, don't get me wrong, but I was like, if I was Sarah and I found out that you knew anything, I would throat punch you so dang hard.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think should it come out that Sierra knew and didn't say anything, she deserves the dragging she's gonna get, and I'm here for it because I'm here for all that drama. But that particular scene didn't bother me because, again, she wasn't 100% sure the baby was gone. She suspected it, but she wasn't 100% sure until Rafe and Gina confirmed it.
Well, I thought that scene was after she already went to the hospital, to the PD, and talked to her mom.
She went to the PD after she had the phone conversation with Ben. Gina and Rafe confirmed that that the baby was missing, and then she went from the PD to Sarah's.
Yeah.
So what she said to Sarah was true. Gina did tell her that the baby was missing. she confirmed it. Now, at that point, she didn't say anything about her suspicions to Clyde, which I equal parts understood and equal parts frustrated me.
I mean, my thing is just like, I get that it's Ben's last appeal, but at the same time, like, that's your cousin, you know, and second cousin, whatever way, shape, however you want to slice it, you know, like,
but
your
the man
family.
she loves is going to die if they mess this up. Like, if he had one other appeal after this and he had another chance, they could risk it. But he's literally going to die if his appeal gets denied.
No, I get that. It's just the whole thing is just rubbing me the wrong way, to be honest. Like, I get it. I love Ben and Sierra. I love Sin, you know, but at the same time, it's like you should have just listened to Ben and just dropped a tip on a hotline.
Yeah, I wanted
You
her
know,
to do that.
and
like,
just let somebody else, you know, take care of it. Like, if I get that, like, it'll screw up his appeal and all that. So drop a tip. You don't have to say that, like Ben Weston says. Just say, I saw this happen. This guy went to a shady,
or
like,
even
little
if she didn't want to go to the cops,
out of town.
if she went to John, if she went to Eli, if she went,
yeah.
like, and in her mind, she's like, I'll just go and I will find her and bring her home. Okay, great. Once you have the baby, how are you going to explain having the baby?
Like, even if she just went to Victor and made up something, you know, which she could do, because apparently Victor is blind and stupid when it comes to Sierra
Victor,
right now.
She's
like,
not going to go to Victor or Xander because she doesn't trust
Xander.
them right now. But so I get that, but I feel like she should have said something to Sarah, to Maggie, to anybody. But I also, at the same time, understand why she's not. It's weird that I feel so many things for one story, because that doesn't normally happen.
I was pissed, to be honest, about the whole thing. I was just like, so wait, you're really gonna let Sarah, like, go through all this? You know, like, I get it, okay? Like, neither Sierra nor Ben, this was not their idea to kidnap this baby or anything like that. But I was just like, so you're really not going to say anything?
Well, and Ben, I understood completely why he wasn't saying anything.
Ben had more point of view, like you said. Like, they really gave him a lot more point of view in like the prison. Like, when he was talking to Clyde, he kept saying, "Give the baby back." Like, you know, I don't want this. Like,
and he even said to Will, Clyde has eyes and ears everywhere. So you understood Ben's point of view more, and we're not getting as much of Sierra's point of view, which is kind of a little bit of a complaint I've had overall. As much as I love Ben and Sierra, and I love them to bits, I do. But Sierra's point of view has always kind of been lacking a little bit, and I'm hoping we kind of get that. Like, if next week she says, after all this is over, I was afraid to say anything, and we get it on the back end, I'll feel better. But it's not a good look for her to have no point of view right now.
Yeah, because, like, as of right now, I'm just like, no, what you did was messed up. Like, you should have said something to somebody about something. Like, you can't just let this go on.
Because I was even trying to justify it to myself. Like, did she 100% know that Clyde was behind it until Ben told her that Clyde was the one sending the texts? Because at that point, she knew that the baby was missing, and she knew that Xander was getting texts from the baby's kidnapper, but she didn't for 100% sure know that that kidnapper was Clyde. So maybe and then when she found out, she ran off to rescue her. So I'm wondering, did she know, and that's why she didn't say anything? Because she wasn't 100% sure?
I don't know. Like I said, the whole thing just kind of pissed me off. I was just like, really? That's what you're gonna do? Okay. All right. Cool. Like, it just always seems weird to me. And as much as I like Sin, like, it just always seems to me like Sierra doesn't have a point of view, really, when it comes to them as a couple. Like, she's always defending him, and I get that. Like, I understand that. But, like, it almost seems like, you know, it's always, you know, she's ride or die for Ben, and I get that. But it's like, there are other factors that are happening here that you need to think about, and they just have her not really think about it to me. Like, they don't show her thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, the consequences of, like, what happens if this happens or this, that, or, like, why didn't she just listen to Ben, like I said, and go and, like, drop a tip line somewhere, you know, and say, this is what I think happened, and let the police take care of it. You know, like, it's just so many things that were just, like, so off to me about it. And I was just like, oh my God, why? Okay, cool. I get it. So now she's going to have the baby, and then what is she going to do?
And then there was that spoiler picture that came out for next week with her sitting on the park bench with the baby, and I'm like, why are you sitting there?
Yeah. Like, run away. Go to the police.
And then
Go to a hospital.
even after she knocked Ray out, like after that happened, she's sitting there talking to the plant and to Biggie, and I'm just like, take the baby and run, damn it.
Yeah, go do something. See, but I think this is going to bring up more questions for like, why did she have the baby? Like, especially from Xander.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
or Sarah.
exactly.
You know, like, how did you find her? And then Xander's going to look at her and kind of realize that like her story doesn't add up. You know, like, and that, see, I'm excited for that because I'm ready for Xander to kill Clyde.
And now the only thing I can think at this point is that maybe she's going to say she found the baby in the park.
Maybe.
Yeah, just a random Sarah baby. No big deal.
You never know.
You never know. It happens. So, Jennifer, aka the viewers, learned about Adrian's death and Justin's new relationship with Kayla, and she was all up in her feelings about it.
I loved that entire scene.
It was great.
I thought Missy Reeves did a great job, first of all. I loved it. I thought her reaction was perfect because for her, their wedding was yesterday.
Yep.
So for her, it's been 5 minutes, not 6 months. So that reaction was completely within a normal reaction. And I just loved the way that Jack was there to support her. Just everything about it was perfect for me.
I just love the way Missy was like, what, it's been 5 minutes? What, 5 minutes? Like, she was just so, like, just going off. And, like, Kayla and Jessica just standing there. And Jack's just like, I can't, like, calm down, honey. Like, like, what do I say? What do I do? You know? But, I mean, it was well within her rights, like, to just, like, wake up and, like, realize that not only is her best friend dead, but Justin moved on with Kayla. And it's just like this weird like position for her to be in to kind of like wrap her brain around. And I thought the response was perfect. And then even afterward, when she's like, and I was just so horrible to them, you know, like they have been through so much and I was just so horrible to them. And I'm like, yeah.
How did you feel about the Jack Kayla scene that preceded that?
See, I do not understand why Kayla is going up. I mean, I get Jack is Adrian's brother. Like, I understand that, but he raped you. He raped you, and you are asking him if it's okay for you to move on with Justin when you're divorced from his brother. And Adrian, like, I didn't like it. Like, I like Mary Beth and Matt in scenes together. Like, I do. But I was just like, is Kayla really asking the man that raped her if it's okay for her to move on?
The one thing I liked about that scene that took the ickiness out of it for me is Jack said, why do you think you have to?
What, have to what? I'm sorry.
No, because when she asked him that, his response was, why do you think you have to ask me?
Yeah.
So that almost to me was like an acknowledgement of, you really don't need to be asking my permission for anything given our history, even though that's not what he said. I totally think that's what he meant behind the line. So that took the ickiness out of it for me. But when the scene first started, I was very uncomfortable. And then he said that, and I was like, what? But then it also I think was the only way they could open up the conversation so we could see his anger at Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love when Matt Ashford plays angry at Steve. Like, there's so much history there. Like, it just flipped. Like, and all of a sudden I was back to like when he first found out he was Billy and the anger he had at his brother. Like, I literally flipped, and it was 32 years ago.
Like, my thing was like the beginning of the conversation, I was very, very kind of like, what? Like, are we really having this conversation? And then when it flipped to when then, like I said, them talking about Steve and, you know, how he left her and how angry he was at her and how much of a hypocrite Jack thought Steve was, you know, about how Steve was always talking to him about like the moral high ground and this, that, and the other thing. But then he went and did this to Kayla. Like that, like by the beginning of the conversation, I was like, kind of like, what? And then at the end, I was like, okay, like, I like the way this conversation ended. I just could have gone without those two meeting points. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't like it, to be honest. Like, I was just like, why is Kayla asking like affirmation from? I mean, I get why they went to Jack. Like, it's his sister and his brother. Like, I understand that, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, but
Yeah, no,
eh.
I was put off by it too until Jack said what he said. And that kind of made it better for me. My other issue too was, how did nobody think that Steve missing Adrian's funeral was a giant red flag and
Right?
that Steve would just send a card? With how close Steve and Adrian were, there is no way, if he was physically able to be at his funeral, that he wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how everybody just kind of accepted that as a thing, because this is the man who was willing to go to jail to protect his sister. You don't think that he would show up at her funeral if he were able to?
Well, that and like Kayla getting the divorce papers in the mail, like he just signed them, like there was no like talking or this, that, and the other. I was just like, okay, like if you think so. Like, I get like there's some like, yes, he has put the job before his family, and like all the things they were talking about. But at the same time, I'm like, and that wasn't like a red flag for you, like, because the last time this happened, Steve had no memory, and everyone thought he was dead, and like this, that, and the other thing. So you guys just think it's okay? I'm like, okay.
And especially after how hard he fought to get Kayla back
Mm-hmm.
after when he came back in 2015, there is no way he would make the same mistakes again.
Well, I mean, even the problems they were having, like when Trip came back, or when Trip came into their lives, and the whole thing they had with, the memory of Ava and Trip trying to kill Kayla and like all this, you know what I mean? Like their son is in prison and like all this other stuff. And you think that he's just going to like send a card when his sister dies and just completely give you a divorce and just be like, okay, I wash my hands of you. I'm sorry, Kayla, bye. Like that, it's just, I don't get how this doesn't make sense to people that something's wrong.
Because, I mean, for me, like the biggest red flag, like I said, the biggest red flag is that he missed Adrian's funeral. He would never. He would absolutely never.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, what, I guess, do you guys think about this whole Chad and Abigail's now being convinced by Eve that somebody else might have pushed Jennifer, but she's also trying to manipulate Steffi?
Okay, I liked the scenes with Abigail and Eve for the fact that I liked the parallels between Eve being framed and Abigail
Mm-hmm.
being framed and framing Gabby. However, I do not care enough about Eve to actually want her out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't particularly care what happens. I will enjoy seeing Abigail in investigative reporter mode to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But if Eve got shanked in jail tomorrow, I would have a party.
Nah, yeah, it's just like, oh, that's too bad, isn't it? I mean, like, I like I like Cassie DePaga.
I love
like,
Cassie to
I
bits. I love
love
Cassie
like
to
the
bits.
chemistry that like Kate and Cassie have, because they've always had very good chemistry on screen together. They're very present in their scenes. But when she was like, it's like what you did to Gabby, and Abby goes, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Oh yeah, she went there. Oh, she went there, guys." Yeah.
Can I just say I love having feisty Abby back? Like when I was watching the second installment of Chabby in Paris, did you watch it, Jenna?
I did.
Okay, so like when she punched Juliet
over the table.
that was my favorite moment, and I'm like, please bring this Abby to Salem, and they have. They're writing Abby strong with an opinion. She's not backing down. She is her parents' child. She is a reporter. This is the Abby I've always wanted and always pictured.
Yep.
And I'm so happy.
I mean, the one gripe that I have with soaps in general sometimes about like their heroines is like they kind of make them like they make mistakes, but then like they're like, oh well, that wasn't me, or like I'm different now, and we're just supposed to buy it. Whereas like the villains, like they make mistakes and they try to atone for it, and it's just like, well, you're always gonna be evil and da 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 da. And like a little bit with Abby, they're making her a little bit like that was Gabby, that with a Y, that wasn't me, like this, that, and the other thing. Like, I didn't make a mistake, Gabby did. And it's like, but it was still you
But
in a
see, they're not
way.
doing that this time, though.
Ugh, because that just annoyed the crap out of me the last time.
Yeah, but it's because even when Eve brought up that it was her personality, she didn't correct her and say it wasn't me. She's taking responsibility for the things that her alters did because those alters were a part of her. And I got into a debate about this on Twitter with somebody else earlier this week. We were debating the whole Chad and Abby wanting to get revenge against Gabby thing, which I'm honestly here for. I love Gabby. I'm team Gabby. But Gabby has this coming and has had this coming for a year. Because Chad and Abby didn't get a chance to have their pound of flesh a year ago because of actor exits. So I am all for them trying to get revenge as a team now. Because they are as a team against Gabby now the way they should have been a year ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that, like why Chad at least, is very adamant about getting the company back from Gabby. Like, I definitely see that. And yes, there's always going to be some animosity and some bad blood, between Abby and Gabby. Like, that's never going to go away now. Like, never.
It
So
should have always been there
it's
because, I mean,
exactly because of what they have done to each other. Like, yes, there's always going to be bad blood. There's always going to be animosity and, not nice things. The fact they're all living in that house, though,
I
it makes
hate
me laugh.
I hate
It
that the
really
mini
does.
mansion is back. I hate that the mini version of the mansion is back. And can they, for the love of God, turn some lights on this set? Please, God. I think Thursday or Friday, whenever we saw them, and it was Friday because they did the direct pickup from Thursday with Ben and Sierra, and when she was standing outside the mansion, it was nighttime, and then we went to the mini mansion, and I couldn't see a single thing on that set. Just turn some lights on, please.
There
Yeah,
was
I'm not a
the
fan
scene
of the mini
where like
mansion.
Gina's painting. Every time that she's painting,
Yes,
I'm like, you're painting in the dark. How
Just
can you
please,
see? Just a light bulb.
just please turn some lights on.
Go
Like,
go borrow one from CBS
shoot you.
and just tell Young and Restless you'll give it back. It's okay.
What is it that Ashley said? Borrow this in the
Yeah,
couch.
just borrow a couch. It's alright.
Golly.
Just we need some lights in Salem. That's
but
all.
I hate the mini mansion. I want the big mansion back. I know we're probably not going to get it because of all the set revamps they've done with the jump, but I hate the mini mansion.
Well, we might need a mansion if we have more Damaras
Right?
end up there. So we will see. All right, let's see here. I don't want to talk about Eric proposing to Nicole. I don't. But that's how this week ended. And why?
I mean, I'm okay with it only because I know where it's leading. Like, I'm excited for what's coming next week.
Yeah.
But the Eric part of it and the contrived reason he was at the police station and him being there to support Sarah and all, like Eric didn't really feel needed a lot of this week to me. I'm excited for next week because I feel like the story's finally going to start moving, but this week he was not necessary.
No, I mean, not. No, you're right. And I mean, some people are like, "Are you telling me it's been a year and he never proposed to Nicole?" And I'm like, "Listen, if they didn't show it, you guys be up in arms about it. But now that they are showing it, you guys are up in
But
arms
do
about it.
they
Pick
not
a
pay
lane."
attention to the dialogue? Because Eric said,
Yes.
I know we've discussed this and we've discussed why we shouldn't do this, but
Yep.
after everything that happened today, I don't think we should wait anymore. And he went down on one knee. Maybe they should pause their bitching long enough to actually, I don't know, listen to the
Thank you.
dialogue.
Thank you. Like I like Eric and Nicole. I don't have a problem with them. Like, I really liked them back in the day, like when they first got together, when it was Jensen
With
Ackles.
Jensen, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so I really, really, really like them, and it's been a very long time for them. I mean, for fans of that couple to like get to a point where they're happy. But the thing is, Nicole always shoots herself in the foot every time she's almost about to be happy, whether it's with Eric or EJ
She
or
self sabotages
anybody
every
else.
time.
She self sabotages. She does, and it's just like why didn't you just tell him the truth from the jump? Like, he would not have left you. Like, and that's the
And
thing that like, so
and
pissed me off with this so bad.
and I
Like,
don't think he's gonna leave her now
no, he's
either.
gonna be upset. He's gonna be disappointed that she didn't tell him the truth, but he's gonna understand why she didn't. I know he will. I think he's gonna be more upset with Sarah and Xander for keeping that baby from him.
But my thing is, Nicole should trust in his love for her. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought Nicole would have learned after everything that happened with the Kristen secret to not do this. So the fact that she's kept the
Yes.
secret, like the fact that she found out I was going to keep the secret, annoyed the crap out of me because I thought that Nicole had moved on from this.
I mean, the growth is all I'm asking for Nicole is growth.
Yes,
Like, yes,
exactly.
she's not going to leave Eric for $5 million, but she should at least be truthful with him because that's the only thing he's ever asked of her is to tell him the truth.
I
Like,
do
she
like
knows.
that she's not willing to put a ring on her finger until she tells him the truth. I do
Yes,
like that though.
I do like that too. I mean, that shows more growth than she had 10 years ago because she just would have snapped him up and been like, yeah, sure, whatever.
But I wonder if baby Mickey hadn't gone missing, if she would have made the same choice.
Yep, probably not, to be honest, because some part of her is always afraid that she's not good enough for Eric. And so some part of her is always going to be afraid that she is going to lose him to someone quote unquote better, you know? And it's just like she needs to trust him. She needs to trust
Yes.
in the fact that he loves her. Like, he knows what she's done, the things that, the lengths that she has gone to, keep him or other people, but he loves her anyway, and he's trying to like let her know that like, hey, I love you. I want to be with you. Like, you are the woman that I love. And yet she still is so, I don't even know the word. She's so insecure,
Insecure.
in herself and, in her love, in his love for her. So, I mean, I'm happy that like they're finally getting a proposal. I'm doubly happy that Nicole's going to tell him the truth before, she accepts a proposal from him, which is something she should have done a year ago. I'm excited to see this story play out and to see the fallout of it because Xander's not going to take any of this lying down.
Yeah, and I also have another theory in regards to this too. Like, do we actually think that is Sarah's child?
I mean, it's all up in the air right now. It wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't. It would be more of a shock if it actually was, because everybody thinks it's a baby switch.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's a baby switch, honestly.
They hit you over the head this week with it being a baby switch.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, because especially in the scene in the park with Sarah and Xander, when she was talking about like how she couldn't lose the baby, and how on the terrible night he was the one to put the baby in her arms. I'm like, okay, they are dropping it. It is definitely going to be a baby switch. Like, at this point, I will be more shocked if it's not, like you said.
Like,
Because
my whole thing is I'm more interested in the fact that if Xander knows it's a baby switch.
I think Xander's the one who did it, honestly. Because if Sarah's baby dies, his future with Sarah dies with that child.
But I wouldn't put it past Victor either.
See, that was my other theory. Before their conversation with Will, about Will, with the whole, innocent man in prison thing, when they were discussing what they did, my original theory, the first week of the jump, was that Victor had Xander switch the babies so that Brady's child would not be influenced by Kristen. Yeah. And that is why he became CEO. Now I'm thinking it's a reward for framing Will. But that was my first thought.
We'll just have to stay tuned to find out. It's hard knowing things that are coming up and having to bite your lip on certain things, because I do know a little bit in regards to where things are going, so it's kind of hard. But I do like your theory as far as that goes. So, is there anything else days related we want to tackle before we wrap it up?
I don't think we missed anything, did we?
I don't think so.
Very cool. Okay. Then on that note, let's give ratings. Tony Ann, what do you rate this week's days?
I'm going to give it a solid 8. It was pretty good for me. There were a few things that frustrated me, but overall it was pretty good.
Cool. All right, Jenna, what about you?
I think I'm gonna stay with 8, like I did last week. You know, it was a good week. It was a solid week. Props to Lindsay Godfrey for her acting
Oh,
because
yeah.
she was amazing. She was totally amazing. Like
She was
you could
in it.
feel her desperation, like in the fact that her child was missing. So props to Lindsay Godfrey. Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. Like there were some things, like the whole Sierra thing, that kind of pissed me off. The whole Kayla and Jack conversation, that I was like, But I mean, overall, I think it was a very solid week, and I really need to see a Gina and Marlena cat fight sometime soon, please. Thank
Yes, please.
you.
Oof, that'd be nice. So I'm gonna go with an 8 as well, and just go across the board and say it was amazing. I love Days. That's all. That's all. I really enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited to see where things go from here. I do have little gripes, but they're little, and I'm okay with that. I can overlook those as long as we keep getting solid overall stories and episodes.
And I
Yep.
feel like we are.
Me too.
Next week is going to be so good.
And can I just give a shout out to NBC? Thank you, NBC, for actually caring enough about the show to find a way to put it on during the preemptions.
Yes.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Oh,
Other
'cause-
networks need to take notes.
thank you. Like, it's not hard. We live in a digital age nowadays.
Dude. Meanwhile, I'm just thankful for a break. Like, you know what? It's okay. I didn't need to see Bold and Beautiful, but 3 episodes this week. It's okay.
Ugh,
It's fine. I'm not complaining.
yikes.
But you know what? Thank you, NBC, for making it work. We appreciate you. On that note, you can follow us at rtakemedia.com. We're on Twitter at rtakemedia. You can follow Tony Anna, XO TonyRonyXO. Jenna is at Jenna TV Lover, and I'm at SoapWiki John. Use hashtag Artake Days when discussing the podcast so we can find your tweets and read them on the show. Until next time, see you guys later.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.
Bye.